Welcome to the John Clarence Gomez Show, and here's your host, John Clarence Gomez.
Okay.
Let's start again. Welcome to the John Clarence Gomez Show, KWN.
Thank you.
What is your experience about being a poetry and comedian? What is about that?
Poet within a what?
Poetry, Islam poetry, like
My, poetry. Poetry has seen, in my experience, poetry. It's almost like music now. You know, there are many
yes,
genres. There
yes.
is rock music.
I
There
was
is pop
amazed when
music. There is
I was amazed when I watched your video in YouTube about poetry with music and comedy.
yeah. I started off as a stand-up comic, and then I had a friend who introduced me to poetry and spoken word, and then we kind of started to do both. And then my health was lagging, and I ended up going to more of those poetry spoken word events because they close to my house. That's it.
Do you
And also, yes.
do you know do you know KWL? I have also a new poetry. The title of my poetry is An Open World. And I want to read. Do you want to listen?
How about we at the end? It makes more sense for us to talk now, and then people at the end to listen. Then we can come up with a way of. Does it make sense?
Yes, this
At the end,
my poetry
at the end.
is about
Huh?
is about diversity. This poetry is about my rejection of my old views. My
Oh,
rejection of being
okay.
fascist. Do you want to listen?
Okay. I'm just going to put it forward now that what I read online was that you are what the information, and you really should change that information if you don't want it to people to think that's what it is. You know, what I mean, uh, does it make sense to you? Like, if you're no longer fascist, you should probably change that word online, because if you leave it there, people are going to think that's the truth. Do you know what I mean? They assume that's true.
Yes,
I assume
that is
that
true.
I
I changed
assume
my political beliefs today.
And that's good. That's good. That's good. That's a
and
very good first
and I
step.
will read
It's
and I
important
will
to.
read poetry about diversity. Do you want to listen to my poetry?
Um, how long is it?
This is a short
Okay,
poem.
sure. But okay, sure. But sure. Go on.
An open world, an open world. The world today has been divided. Racism there, racism everywhere. There are many wars in the world. Many refugees want to go and live in a peaceful nation. But the president says they are not welcome. Fascism is rising around the world. We immigrants and refugees have a right to move freely around the world. An open world will prevail. Love and justice. No borders, no racism. Our resistance will live forever.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that sounds very much like anti-fascism, in fact. Yeah,
Yes.
and it's interesting because okay, you asked me for my. Oh, what was I thinking? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just a bit more fascinated by you right now than you're more fascinated by me. You have a lot of information there. So on your 16th birthday, you made yourself the king of a micronation. That's very creative and very
Yes.
entrepreneurial.
Because
Yeah.
at that time my view and my view at that time, because in that time I love to read many conspiracy theories. Do you know Alex Jones in Powers?
Yes, that's not one you should read.
At
It
that
will drive
time
you.
at that time in my 16 years old, I really love to read that's
Mhm.
that website, and I see that. But when I became a 17 years old, I read that Infowars and many fake news websites are really fake and not really, because when you say about came about the race, their scientific racism is not science, it's a pseudoscience.
Yes, it's not. It's
Many
not.
many
He's
fascists believe that if you are white, you cannot marry an Asian. If you are Asian, you cannot marry a white. But for me, that is bad because for me, interracial marriage is really really good.
yes, true.
In my
Fascism and racism are interlinked, but they're starting to change. Fascism, I actually cannot. I actually, my mind is so blank right now because I was reading talk about poetry. Fascism is the belief that some people are just better than others,
yes,
and racism is a belief that some races are better than others. So there's some overlap, but some fascists will marry a race that they consider equal or above their own, and will not marry races that they consider below theirs. That's a very simplistic explanation that I possibly might have gotten wrong because I'm not a philosophical, I'm not a political scientist, but I think I got the gist of that kind of right, which is that fascists consider some people just naturally better and should, and the others are can be treated badly and do not deserve rights. Does it make sense? If I'm not wrong.
in my do you know KWL, and
Hello.
in my country in the Philippines, interracial marriage helps Filipino in poverty because many Filipina in my country, many women in my country marriage a foreigner. They are marriage, they are marrying white people and Japanese people, and today they are now live in out of poverty.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I reject my view as a fascist and embrace liberalism and freedom and diversity. Do you know in your country there are many Filipino? I know that in your country. Do you know John Cancio?
Yes, but not
Good
very
Hang,
well.
Good Hang, the Good Hang
I know him, but
podcast.
not very well. I know Orion. Orion. I saw Orion because he was available on your podcast. So I messaged him and he talked a bit about how said that he's a bit of a mentor figure to you. You got John Cancio. I do. I've met a couple of times, but I don't think he'll remember me because I our interactions were not very long.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else you care to bring up that maybe I would know? Hello?
Uh, what is neon lights in Singapore? What is neon lights? Yung when you poetry and comedy, what is neon lights?
What is million like?
Neon lights. Neon. Neon
Oh,
lights.
Neon Lights. Neon Lights is a festival.
Festival. Comedy,
There's a festival
comedy
that's
and
called.
poetry.
Excuse me?
Comedy and poetry festival.
Comedy, poetry, mostly music. Mostly music, but they have a section for spoken word and they have a tent for it's a celebration of arts and performances. So there will be a punk rock musical in one tent, and then there will be spoken word tent, and then there will be music on a large stage. It really is more a celebration of music than anything else. But they make room for other genres of performances, which is poetry, spoken word, acting. Maybe someone might put up a whole play, for example, 1 year. So it's very, but the main focus has always been music, I think, for Neon Lights. I don't know whether it's shifted since then because I haven't been there for a while. Like I said, I've been a bit reclusive. But let's go back to the first question. Do you want to talk about me or about you? Because I want to know, like, for example, how you came to be fascist, libertarian, 16, and whether how many of those beliefs do you still hold? You know, from 1 year, from 1 year you've disavowed your fascist roots. You still consider yourself the king of a micronation, or do you or not? Because I find it very interesting. I really do find it interesting. I'm not. Yeah. Hello.
Today my micronation today, I changed the political system of my micronation today from fascism to libertarianism, like your country Singapore, because when I read Lee Kuan Yew book, I want to copy Singapore economic style in my micronation and adapt diversity like in Norway, in Nordic countries, to adapt a social democratic micronation. My micronation
Okay.
today is social democratic today. Liberal.
All right. How many people are in your micronation?
Only in my house.
Uh,
Only in my house.
as everything is start somewhere, right? I must say I'm very relieved that you have at least this about the libertarian side of things because I'm sorry, the fascist side of things because fascism has become a very heated word these days. As in a
Yes,
lot of
i- many people say that if a people meets a fascist, they were scared because they believe that fascism is Holocaust.
on the right.
Yes, on the right, many people are scared. Not only fascism, but also communism. Many people are scared of communism and fascism. I reject fascism today and I reject communism because for me, the the two ideologies, fascism and communism, will make the world authoritarian and not democratic.
Yeah, so you do believe in democracy.
Yes, I believe now I'm a advocate of direct democracy. My micronation today has adapt like Switzerland, direct democracy, direct democratic micronation.
I see. Okay, what made you decide to start your own micronation?
I start micronation in 2015. Before I became a do you know the story of starting a micronation? I'm 15 years old. I'm 13 years old at that time in 2015, and I create an communist micronation. Army because my first micronation is an communist state.
Okay.
I'm a communist and became fascist, and today I became an liberal today, centrist. Before I became a fascist, I'm an communist.
Okay.
The name of the name of the communist that I built in 2015, the first micronation that I built is Libertarian Socialist Republic of Armenia from 2015 to 2018.
In 2015, you were 13 years old,
Yes,
right?
and and I really love communism that time because when because when I see a book of Karl Marx and I love to read the communist manifesto of Karl Marx at that time.
Right.
But in but in 2015, not 2015, but in 2018, I read a book of Benito Mussolini, the Fascist Manifesto. And when I see the book of Fascist Manifesto, I changed my ideology from communism to fascism because when I read the Fascist Manifesto of Mussolini, I was very happy because when I read the Fascist Manifesto in that time, Fascist Manifesto say that capitalism and communism are bad, and
Yeah.
and I accept that ideology at that time.
Fascism said what and what are bad? Mussolini's book said what and what are bad?
When I read that book at that time, I think that because in that book Mussolini said that democracy is bad,
Uh-huh.
only a statist government, only a totalitarian government is good. But
Okay.
but when I but today in 2019 in June 30 when I because my post because I listen. I'm a number one fan of Nathan Artono. I really love Nathan Artono. I I I listen to his podcast Good Hang. Do you know Good Hang?
No.
Good Hang podcast of Nathan Artono. When I listen to that podcast, I really inspired. That's the reason why I became liberal by listening a liberal comedy podcast.
So before that, you would consider yourself libertarian rather than liberal.
Because for me libertarian and liberalism are very similar because in libertarianism there the people has many freedom to move, no borders, no
Yeah.
no is no state.
I Yeah, I think so you started your own country when you were 13 and has gone through several regime changes
Yes, several
as it
ideology
reflects
changes.
you.
But today I want to
And
say that
I
I'm that
I
I'm
must say it's what?
I start I start my liberal view when I listen to a podcast, a liberal comedy podcast, and reading many immigration books because I when I watch a CNN video, CNN documentary about immigration, I was inspired that the immigrants have a right to move because the government has no right to deport them because there are many wars in the world. They want to
Yeah.
move in many countries. This is the reason when I watch that, so I change my mind. So I reject my old views. I reject my fascist and nationalist view because fascism and nationalism makes the world poorer. I believe that only a libertarian capitalist economy can make the world richer. Like your country, Singapore. Singapore is a poor country in 1950s, but today a first world countries because of Lee Kuan Yew adopts a capitalist economy. I'm a liberal centrist capitalist today. That's called
Liberal, centrist,
libertarian.
capitalist,
Yes.
libertarian. Yeah.
Yes, libertarian.
Uh, the problem is that these words increasingly meaning different things to different people. So I don't know. Maybe we should just talk about this stuff. What was your very first question to me? Something about poetry.
Poetry. I start I start poetry in 2019. That's year when I reject my fascist view. And because poetry also helps me to reject my old views because do you know that poetry is really beautiful.
It can
I
be.
I write my poetry is a most of my poetry is about democracy and love, about diversity. Like my poetry that I read
Okay. Do you feel like your country has democracy?
today, but today is not because the Philippines today was ruled by Duterte and very. I call him Duterte really fascist, but he is not a fascist. But I want to call them a semi fascist government.
Because he needs a lot of power and control.
Yes.
I'm unfamiliar with the scene down there. I can't. I'm willing to admit I'm ignorant about the political about a lot large swaths of the political scene in the Philippines.
Yes, in my country today, many journalists has arrested and many poor people was killed by the police.
Yes, that sounds those sounds like uh results of fascism of a someone with a fascist mindset. Correct.
Yes, semi-fascist because semi-fascism for me is like a democratic with totalitarian ideas. Like Duterte. Duterte in the Philippines, we have an election today under Duterte, but with elect but election with some totalitarian ideas that can be called semi-fascist government.
Yeah, I see. So basically, you wanted to talk today about poetry.
Yes,
Why
I
do you
want I
choose?
want to talk about you.
Yeah, why do you choose me? It's a bit astonishing because there are a lot of active poetry and set up who are very who could tell you rattle the names of what the scene is like right now, and I am not one of them because my health has not been well. I've been kind of reclusive. I've been like staying at home a bit, so I'm very curious to know why you chose me.
Because it's really hard to talk to famous poet. Do you know that it's really hard because
Uh huh.
when you talk to them, you must go to an agency. Do you know agency, talent agency before interview
Oh
because they are famous.
No, but
Yes,
In Singapore, there are people who are active in the scene. But this is Singapore, and I can't think I can barely think of any who have agents. The agents are the ones who are writing prose, novels or short stories. The poetry people tend not to have agents. They tend to
yes.
go
Freelance,
one on one.
freelance, freelance.
Yeah, not that I'm inviting you to. And you also want to talk about my comedy. Like, are you trying to ask me how I separate the two or whether they're intertwined? Because I can tell you that my comedy and my poetry
Experience.
are very intertwined in a way. I do a lot of
Yes,
comic pieces,
experience.
and then there are some pieces that are just sad. You know what I mean?
What is your experience about creating a co- creating a written creating and writing comedy and poetry? What is the experience of you for that?
The difference is that,
What is the
and this is just
difference?
my personal experience, when it comes to comedy, there's an expectation that the audience be satisfied, that they have at least a few laughs, or if they don't laugh, they have a good time, or that they relate to you. With art, there is less of an expectation because it's more about personal expression. I would say now these rules are changing all the time, and we can see that nowadays in modern comedy, where the top comedians are the ones who talk about their pain and they try to make it funny and they express it and so on, and they manage to walk that fine line between expressing their pain and being artistic about it, while at the meantime entertaining the audience. But in Singapore, we're still at the stage where comedy is mostly about impressing. It's mostly about gathering laughs as opposed to making people think, uh, uh, and not really making people think. Like, you know how laughter. Here's the thing: when you shape a joke, right?
For me,
You can.
laughter is a medicine for me because
No, no.
because
What do you mean?
today I have also a sick today because I have an allergy today and I have an allergy today and I have hiccups. Do you know hiccups?
Okay. Well, I okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just about to say that the comedy season in Singapore seems to be about more about impressing.
Yes.
And this is
Very
my personal
impressive.
opinions.
I
Impressing the
do I
audience.
watched a video of, do you know Orion, a Filipino comedian in Singapore?
Excuse me?
Do you know Orion, the Filipino comedian in
Yes, yes,
Singapore?
Orion. I talked to
Comedy
Orion already.
Masala. I watch him in Comedy Masala and I really love to his comedy, to his jokes because really funny.
He's a very talented impressionist,
Yes,
yes.
very talented. He was a very talented person.
Before we continue, John, you should know, okay, and I'm putting it out there, I'm not scolding you or anything, but you should know that prior to this interview, there were several times when I kept saying, I'm probably not the best subject, and I outright said no a few times, and it didn't seem to register to you. Do you not get the message, or do you just really want an interview and you just push for it? I'm not gonna like be angry either way. I'm just curious because that's not how things usually get done, or they get done that way. It usually ends up going badly. And I would suspect that if you use that method that you use on me, which is just like denying that I'm saying no and just pushing on ahead, you will probably receive a lot of blowback. You know what I mean? Does any of that come true to you?
Yes, because I know that you are not the right subject because you are not famous, but I watched your video in YouTube and I was amazed. So I
Yeah,
think
I know. Thank you.
that you
Yeah.
that
Yeah. This is the other reason. Part of me is actually not really chasing fame at all because I not sure I'm ready for it. So you have to feel ready for it and be prepared for it. Otherwise, you end up, doing like Amy Winehouse and going into self-destructive circles. So that's part of the reason why I retreated and I turned down a lot of gigs and stuff and stayed home. My health is really actually quite bad. I don't want to talk about it right now, but it prevents you from leaving the house a lot. But that's not what I meant. My question was why, even though I kept saying no, why do you just keep saying pushing for a yes?
Because I, I I want to I want you to be my guest because my episode of my podcast is really small. I have no many guests, so I decided that I want you to be my guest because I really love your comedy and poetry in when I see your video in YouTube.
Okay, thanks. Like, what part of it do you like? The fact that it's funny, or the fact that it's weird, or I mean, you know what I mean?
My favorite of your comedy is comedy with music and
Yeah,
poetry with music. I really love your that
you
that
cannot be
kind
an
of
artist without heartbreak. Is that the one you shared?
Do you know KWL? I am I have I was born with autism. Do you know that? I was
Yes, I
born
know.
with
I know that. I'm aware of that. That's why I'm giving you quite a lot of leeway. I'm not yelling at you, which I can promise you now, if you did this to someone who is unsympathetic or unempathetic, they would yell at you, and I don't want that you to have too many negative experiences. Asperger's can be hard, but you, but we weren't talking about facial expressions here. We were talking about straight up texts saying, "I didn't say yes, I'm saying no," and you kept pushing, and I decided to give you a chance because
yes. Thank you.
you're young, and I was genuinely fascinated by your ideas of micronation and the fact that you honestly, if you had not if you had not at the last minute pulled out and said, "I am not a fascist," I might have not entertained the phone call because I don't really want to talk about fascists. But knowing that you were able to change your mind, you have the facts and change your mind, all that was very promising, and that's why I said okay. But we've actually spent like almost half an hour now, and we've barely talked about poetry, which is what we're supposed to be talking about. So that shows that do you know how to run a podcast? Because it's not just two people talking. There needs to be a direction, especially when the two people are strangers. You know what I mean?
Yes, because when you have a podcast, you must you must talk straight talk to your guest.
Yeah, and you must do research on the interviewer, on the interview, on the subject. You must do some research, have some basic knowledge. You should probably get a willing subject. I was not a willing subject. I changed my mind
Yes,
at the very last minute.
because I know you are not a famous. You're not a
Uh,
famous person, but I really love your comedy and poetry in YouTube.
yeah, thank you. I do appreciate that. I'm not really looking to be famous right now. And what was I thinking? I guess. Do you have like a list of questions for me, for example, on topics that
Yes,
we want
yes,
to touch? Yeah.
yes,
What was the very first one that we never even finished
yes.
answering?
My first question for you: what is the country your favorite to visit? What is a country wants to favorite your visit? To visit a country, what is your favorite country to visit?
My health is so bad that I have not left the country since 2012.
What is
So, for example, a lot of visiting poets and countries will tell you, oh, London, they love the London scene, all that stuff. And part of me is envious, and part of me is like, well, this is the card I was dealt. My health is not good. My doctor is not advising me to not travel. So I don't even, yeah, I've been in Singapore since 2012 when I went to Hong Kong for my uncle's retirement party, I think, because it was a big deal because he had worked in the company for many years and that kind of thing. But I rarely leave the country. Before that, what was the first question? Your very first one, something about poetry, and I was saying something about how poetry is almost like music. There are different genres, and then you interrupted me. Can you remember what the question was?
yes, let us a question about poetry. What is your favorite poetry ever?
Type of poetry, you mean?
Type of poetry. Islam poetry or Islam poetry or epic poetry.
Oh, I don't think of terms of poetry in terms of those categories. I
Epic.
think of them as either intellectual poetry, which is like it engages the brain, is like very, very cerebral. It's all about making you think, right? I
Yes.
think about poetry that affects the heart. I think about poetry that affects both. I think about poetry that tells a story. It's called narrative poetry. I think about poetry that's descriptive. It's just describing this world that's so, or describing this person that's so vividly that you can almost imagine that person. Does what I'm saying make sense to you?
Yes.
And then there's experimental poetry where you experiment with the form. There's there's classic poetry where you read like Shakespeare's sonnets or Sestina, where you have like a very very structured form which you have to adhere to in order to and that poetry the classical poetry where there's meter and there's rhyme and rhythm is very very it's very very formal, and then the fun is when you manage to express something not despite the limitations, but by the limitations kind of enhance the poetry. You know like Shakespeare sonnets, right? Shakespeare has sonnets. I like surreal poetry which isn't quite real, really isn't quite day to day life. That talks about that like kind of references a subject in the real world, but actually talks about something else. Like for example, if I talk about depression, I can instead of writing this is a poem about depression, I would write about a woman who keeps falling into holes. She keeps falling into another hole. That she keeps moving her life. She keeps changing everything, but because she doesn't treat the depression, she keeps falling into a hole, into another hole, into another hole. So that's surreal poetry or not straightforward poetry. I like narrative poems. I like
Yes, narrative poetry. I really really love
yeah, which
narrative
is
poetry.
poetry with storylines. Poetry that I don't like so much. I mean, I rather not say because Singapore is so small that people will think I'm referring directly to them. But I have my tastes, and I know for a fact people who don't. There are some people who just can't stand my poetry. Because for whatever reasons, because we all have different tastes. Art is meant to be subjective. And What poetry I like? I would say I would like poetry that makes me see or think the world in a different way, or makes me challenge my own view. And I might not like it at first. I might actually hate something at first, and then later I go, wait a minute, it's because it caused me to challenge my own view of what something was, and I should sit with it and examine it again, and then maybe I go to love it, and maybe I go, you know what? Yeah, I challenged it, but my belief, I still believe in this belief. In this belief, I still hold strong to it, and but it was worthwhile being challenged. That's the beauty of poetry. And I think a lot of the problem is that people don't like their beliefs being challenged. And that's where the problem comes in, when you challenge a belief and people feel personally attacked. And I understand that. I can understand the feeling when you define yourself by your beliefs, like you define yourself as, say, I can't think of one example. You define yourself as a man, right? And then someone comes in and says, "Oh, this is what a man should be," and then someone comes in and says, "Oh, a man doesn't necessarily have to be that. A man can be certain other things," and then they can start quarreling like crazy. And I'm like, that's not what art is supposed about. The art is supposed to be that you can be a man in this way, and you can be a man in another way, or you can be a human in this way, or you can be a human in another way. Same goes for women as well, of course. But I chose the male example because I thought it might be less controversial. Does any of that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you? I mean, because if you don't, if it doesn't, it may not be you. It may be me. Maybe me not explaining it perfectly because I'm not having a lot of sleep right now. So I'm more than happy to explain it again if and try to clarify it if you don't quite get it. You know what I mean?
Yes. My second question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite comedian in Hollywood?
Oh, that's a tough one. Do comedians mean stand-up or can it be a comic actor?
Comedian actor.
A comedian actor, so not a stand-up comic.
Stand-up comic. For me, my favorite stand-up comedian in Hollywood is Fred Armisen. Is my favorite.
Say that again.
My favorite comedian in Hollywood is Fred Armisen.
Oh yes, I know him. I'm familiar with him. Yeah.
Portlandia.
Yeah,
Really, really
I have
love
not
that.
watched Portlandia, but I saw him in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
SNL. Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. How do you manage to get all these programs? Never mind. Maybe I should not. But I'm glad that you're able to expand all these, watch all these really just left indie weird comedy because you know needs to be supported. Mainstream comedy can be. I mean, mainstream comedy exists for a reason, but it's not really my cup of tea. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
For me,
Uh,
my favorite stand-up comedian ever is Sava Silverman is my favorite
Sarah
stand-up comedian.
Silverman. Okay.
Silverman is my favorite stand-up comedian ever because when I watch his video about Jesus, he's really really funny about his video about Jesus. Do you know his video? Sava Silverman meets Jesus Christ.
Sarah Silverman. What?
Sava Silverman he met Jesus Christ.
No.
The title of the film is Jesus is Magic. I watched that movie of Sava Silverman and it's very funny.
So you like comedy sketches?
Yes, I really really love comedy sketches. I really really love comedy.
I would say my favorite comedian, even though I don't. Here's the thing I found out about my relationship with the arts. I work. I'm probably the strongest technically with prose. You know what prose is, right? Prose would be short stories, novels, even newspaper journal. Basically, not poetry, written like standard, like text prose. Um, I found out that unlike my other friends, I don't always go crazy for a particular. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't always go crazy for a particular comic or particular trend or whatever because I'm not as interested in art form in the specific art form than in what the art form can tell us about human nature. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, like for example, I like music, but I'm not a crazy music pop fanatic. But there are songs that will move me to tears. I'm not. I wouldn't say there's been a lot of standout specials on Netflix, and a lot of stand-up comics in Singapore watched them. In fact, I think a friend of mine was one of them, and I just well, partly it was depression. I was heavily depressed at the point in time because my health was so bad, and I couldn't bring myself to sit through it. But I realized it was because I don't know. I don't know. I found myself retreating into of all things children's books because I was borrowing books from my nephew, and I borrowed some interesting looking books that maybe I would read to him in the future. And I found what was the question again? The question was, what's my favorite? Maybe you both have ADD. I forgot to tell you, my brother has ADD, so there's a 50% chance I have it too. Hello?
The question I said to you, what is your favorite comedian in Hollywood?
Okay, if I had to choose one, right now, it would be Whoopi Goldberg. Do you know who she is? Sister Act, Ghost.
Sister Act.
Yeah. I think mine will be a bit older.
Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg.
Huh?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes.
Sister Act.
Yes.
Whoopi Goldberg.
And it's possibly because I played the choir scene for my nephew on YouTube, and it's his favorite thing ever. So right now I see Whoopi Goldberg, he smiles, I'm happy. So that's probably why she's my favorite comedian as of now. But when you think about it, Sister Act was actually written for a white actress, a white lead.
Yes, white nuns, but Whoopi Goldberg is the only black nun in that
Woman,
movie.
she's a woman.
Black woman in that in
Basically,
the
the movie is about how she plays a character named Dolores Van Cartier or something.
Dolores
Cartier.
Van Cartier.
It's a stage name.
But Whoopi Goldberg is also famous with this TV show. Do you know The View?
Yes,
Whoopi
she's famous in The
Goldberg.
View. I'm not
The
familiar with The
View.
View. I'm not familiar with her with The View at all. I am The View. I have not seen an episode of her with The View, and it's I've maybe seen half a YouTube clip. The View, is I haven't been watching it, but Sisak is interesting because do you know the term the magical Negro?
The magical hero.
Yeah,
What is the term of that?
the term, okay, arise from when Hollywood started making movies where white people had their problems, and then a black person would come in and magically teach them a lesson and just go away and not get anything and not really be a human or have problems or have a life or not take anything away. So it was a very unbalanced relationship. Does it make sense? It dehumanized the black character and made the white character the center of everything.
This is the last question.
Huh?
Because we have this is the last question because we do not have a time. My
Okay,
last
well,
question my last question is, what is your favorite food in Singapore? Favorite restaurant in Singapore or product in Singapore? What is your favorite?
probably Old Airport Food Center. But before I finish, can I just say that the reason why I like Whoopi Goldberg is because she was able to have a movie
Yes,
that was a
yes, you can
comedy.
say.
Huh?
Yes, you can say.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg started Sister Act, which changed the image of nuns. It changed the ideas for what roles were available for black women, and it changed the idea of the magical Negro because she has a story arc. She has redemption. She doesn't just save people in that movie. She's an actual character with actual flaws, and so as a comic actress, watching that and watching her bring all that charisma to that role, when I rewatched it with my nephew recently, was made me remember how what a charismatic performer she is, and that's the reason why I would think at the moment it will be Whoopi Goldberg. Yes. As a food, I don't really love food,
Yes,
but Old Airport Food Center is Old Airport Road Food Center is very good. Um, yeah.
yes.
Is there any other poetry you want to read? The poetry just done that you read, is that like an anthem for your nation?
Uh, this is my last this, this is my last poetry that we read before we end. While I'm still living, please 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 let me know that you really love me. Whenever I remember you, I'm wondering and I'm praying that you would free my broken heart, and while I was still alive, I will love you. You will fulfill your promise. That is the quarrel between the two of us would have vanished. Whenever you love me, I am happy, and my heart is always happy. And I ask for our love is immortal. And while I was still alive, our love would never have disappeared.
Okay. Huh. Um, do you know what showing and telling means in poetry?
I I only write poetry, but I don't narrate poetry. I'm only a
Yeah, I
writer.
understand. I myself feel that I'm a better poetry and comedy writer than I am a But even as a piece, both pieces that you read have a lot more telling than showing, and it's actually a good idea to mix up both. Telling is something like the sun is hot. Showing is something like she could feel the sweats of perspiration dripping down her face as she cycled up the hill. Does that make does do you understand the difference?
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you want to pursue poetry, you would need to learn to show more and tell less, and not show all the time, but learn to strike a balance. Because right now you're telling, just telling and telling and telling, and when people are told, they tend to lose interest because it's like, oh, you're already giving me the facts. You have to walk the fine balance between capturing their attention without boring them. Because too much telling becomes boring, and too much showing makes them lose their attention. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Are you going to edit this interview, or are you going to like air it as it is?
what?
Are you going to edit this interview, this podcast, or are you going to air it as it is?
Yes, I will air it on iTunes.
As it is, or will you be editing it beforehand?
Yes, edit before publish.
Oh, well, what are you going to edit? Like 20 minutes more stuff?
Yes, all all our interview from start to the end.
I think it requires only a little bit of addition. I think you should leave most of it in. How long are you looking at? Like 40-minute runtime?
What?
How long are you looking at? A 40-minute runtime?
Yes, we are 40 minutes now. So KWL, thank you for guesting my show.
Sure.
Thank you.
I just want you
Yes.
to know, the approach you took might not work for other people, and you should be listen and to them. I'm sure you tried, but it might not work for other people, and it might backfire badly on you. And I don't want you to get hurt by that. And also, when other people say no to you in real life, you should really try and listen. Sometimes they have very good reasons for saying no. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But you're 18, right?
Yes, next year.
You're 18 next year. Oh, I thought you were 18 this year. Well, good luck learning, and I'm really glad you know fashions. I really am.
Yes, thank you for guesting my show. Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck with your country, running your country, your micronation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Bye.
Goodbye.
Tune in next month for new episode of John Clarence Gomez Show in iTunes and Spotify.